myself wondering where you begin with this, because it's possible to be thematic. It's possible to begin to explore things theologically.
Is it better if we move away from the idea of it being like every other Advent carol service but with new music, and we just actually do something completely different?
I suppose in the back of my mind I've got the idea of a broad shape, like a sort of Bach cantata, which has different, solo items, a few choral items. We talk about the idea of little bits that can actually then have a life after the event, maybe in liturgy throughout Advent in future years. And also how the texts are treated, maybe they're not all straight settings, maybe you intone just the title of one and then there's a musical response or a dance response without any text.
There's rather nice plain charm to all of them.
Of course, yeah, so we could just simply use that. I'm tempted to set it in the Latin, and if people had a programme or an order of service with what the words mean, that it also frees us, I think, if you're using a dead language. I mean, like Oedipus Rex in Stravinsky's Oedipus Rex, it kind of means you could do something else also perhaps with dance. You don't have to be literal. It's fascinating how different art forms or different things communicate at different rates. I mean, when I did an opera, my librettist never done a libretto before, and he just didn't understand why I kept cutting the text, as he was thinking of it. So, and it was only when he got to the final rehearsal and heard it, he said, I finally get it. I had no idea a line of text took that long, or could take that long. And the same, dance, I mean, there's a lot of text here, there's a lot of stuff to get through, and dance speaks in its own tempo, doesn't it? And
so, yes. And I guess it's how you put those things together. And how they clash or they don't. And that's sometimes really interesting, the clash or whether we're...
Yeah. There's no reason why, for example, I'm thinking that dance shouldn't extend through readings as well, or that reading shouldn't overlay music. So it could be a through composed thing in which words and music and dance flow seamlessly, rather than the idea of a series of set pieces.
Do we do something that's abstract, or is it going to be a literal representation, or is it going to be, what is the relationship between the dancers and you, for instance, between the dancers and the chorus? And I mean, we seem to have quite a lot of elements. Who could the dancers represent? I mean, we could have them representing people anticipating this change. The O that you were talking about, how you were talking about exploring that with, I think that's quite interesting as far as dance goes, circular O's, exploring that shape, the monad, what that means. I think that's something that I can quite relate to as far as movement goes. And
it's very hard to write the setting of O on a staccato note without people sounding like a mistake. It's actually very hard to do. And you always end up having to sort of make it a long note. I'm determined to try and get a staccato O into this without it sounding funny. A little compositional challenge of mine.
I was quite interested by what you said, Hubert, about the possible things that the dance could be, either quite literal, perhaps in exploring a relationship, because there might be a sort of correlation with that musically, because we were talking and you said you might do a duet for one movement, which is interesting because then you've got two voices, so there might be a way in which that pairs, the vocal relationship between the two parts might have a kind of pair in the dance relationship.
I think it'd be quite interesting maybe if I wrote some music early on and you then had it, and then we did it the other way round, where you have an idea and work on the dance first and then I respond to it musically. I don't think what we want really is a piece of music which then, it has a dance added, or a dance piece that has music added. We want to try and bring the things together.
I'm interested
to
take
respond.
a verse and to respond to the words.
There might be a dance just without music. I don't know. Just to speaking or no music at all.
So I do quite like the idea of finding some way of moving from dance in silence. The idea of the expectation going into music. I think probably what I would need to know at this stage is whether this is a standalone piece, whether it's in sections or not, or whether it's going to be, in inverted commas, interrupted by readings, and whether there's going to be other music in other parts of the service.
Yes, do we stay in the Tom Hyde sound world for the whole service?
You said that with a straight face. That's extraordinary. Well done.
Very, I've or do we interrupt it with a Come Manuel?
That's such a good point, isn't it? Because there is also something about liturgy and participation. There is this tradition of not sitting passively as an audience watching, but actually being involved.
Because in a funny sort of way, the more other music and hymns there are, the more something new looks out of place.
I would be very keen to stick with one.
Though I do think we need readings and
but I do think
participation.
I think participation might be an interesting question to.
But I think there has to be. And it does change how you design it.
Yeah.
If you know things are going to go from a sort of performance space or meditative space into something. And I just wondered, maybe with some readings, but also some sort of, in inverted commas, address, you kind of pull people between the two spaces, and also that is how you bring them in. Now, we can easily just do it in the normal sense of just perform it and just say you are the audience, but that's not really the spirit of what I think we want. So I think we need something like a sermon rather than a reading, but it takes the congregation into a different kind of space which draws them in.
I was working with the group the other day, and their great challenge was they had one idea and then they pursued it to death. And if we have a fault, it's probably that we are doing the opposite. We're having a million ideas and pursuing none of them. What do we know now that we didn't know when we started, and what do we need to do to move that on?
I'm still thinking about the dance, that's the dance element, and how I interact with that. And I think I realise now that you and I have got to think about how the two might go together, or if they're not going to go together, how we do that in a convincing way. Because I'm very drawn to the text, but I think that there's so much in the text that we're kind of overladen. So I kind of see there's possibilities of the dance amplifying certain bits of the text, or little nuggets of it, which the music might not, and that could be an interesting relationship.
I think we just need to get together, maybe even with Claire, and just workshop some ideas.
They wove in sort of hymns. So we went straight from this sort of description of the cave